Actually, guys, for any questions, I actually have a perspective to share. I've kind of seen the things floating around with Boston and the topic of racism, and the people around me urge that I should share my perspective. Uh, I have not talked to anyone, not Kyrie, Marcus, or Danny Ainge, about my thoughts or my perspective, but I do think it's a good conversation. I think that racism should be addressed and or systemic racism should be addressed in the city of Boston, and it also should be addressed in the United States. However, I do not like the 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 manner it was, brought up in terms of centering around a playoff game. Um, it bothers me if you know the construct of racism, right, is you know uh, used as a crutch or an opportunity to execute a personal gain. I'm not saying that's the case, but I do think racism right now is bigger than basketball. And I do think racism is bigger than game three of the playoffs. So I want to urge the media to paint that narrative as well. Because when it's painted in that manner, it's insensitive to people who are actually dealing with, racism on a daily basis, the constructs and the constraints of systemic racism in in our school system, inequality in education, um, lack of opportunity, lack of resources, adequate housing, affordable housing, adequate health care, tokenism, and the list goes on. So, I recognize my privilege as an athlete, but once you get to a certain point, nothing that you experience um, overtakes the experiences that people deal with on a daily basis. So I want to emphasize that as well. I understand the frustration right now. I've seen what's going on with in sports and in sporting arenas with the two incidents I've seen is with Russell Westbrook and Trae Young, and I'm pissed. To be honest, I don't think we should have to put up with that, and I don't think that's okay by any means necessary. But when I look in the media and I see those incidents attached to like the frame of racism, yes, I think it's important to address those situations. But if the topic is racism, I think that those incidents don't compare, or those belligerent comments don't compare to what systemic racism is currently doing in our community and has done in the past. So it's important to frame it in that context. Um, I think that racism. I think that not every Celtics fan. I know that every Celtics fan in our arena is not a racist. Uh, we have people of all walks of life, ethnicities, uh, colors that are diehard Celtics fans. So I don't. I think by painting every Celtics fan as a racist would be unfair. However, Boston, we got a lot of work to do. No question. Incarceration rate is ridiculous. The wealth disparity is embarrassing. Um, the inequality in education, specifically in Boston public schools, needs to be better. There's lack of resources there, lack of opportunity. The tokenism here in Boston needs to be addressed as well. But if we're going to talk about it, and that's what the media is going to bring up, I think a sport and arena, um, things might exist, but in the real world, things exist to far different extremities. So I definitely want to share my perspective, and this is my opinion, of course, and people can challenge that. I definitely think Boston, we got a lot of work to do, uh, but that's it, really. I'm not really answering any questions, guys. I just wanted to share my perspective. Uh, thank you.